So we want to talk to you a little bit about the on-premise version of Business Central and its updates. I guess we'll start with the first one that I see is at the end of the day, October 1st, 2019, no download installation files were available. Have you had any experience with that?
Yeah, so just as of a couple days ago, you couldn't download the new version 15 for on-premise yet. So we're kind of checking that out. It may even be there today.
Yeah.
At this point. But if you're looking to download the on-premise version, we're going to keep checking, and it looks like it's there. But I just noticed that along with the announcement that they released, we went out to check to see if we could download it and get a demo environment set up, and it wasn't there yet. So
sometime in October, hopefully.
Might be there already. But this release, this version 15 release, for those Business Central or Nav users that are listening, that are out there that are maybe looking to upgrade to Business Central on-premise, this is a pretty significant release.
Yeah.
That's out here. And there's two reasons, there's two changes that are part of this that are really significant. The first and the major change is that there is no longer a seaside traditional NAV development environment client available with this release.
So it's all being switched to Visual Studio Code and AL and whatnot.
Right. So no objects, no object designer.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shift for many existing NAV or even Business Central on-premise customers that may have object changes in there. To migrate to the full modern development environment.
Would you say most Nav users have object changes?
Absolutely.
It's kind of the point, Nav.
Yeah, there's. I'm not sure if I've ever seen an NAV environment without object changes at some level.
Yeah. So this then applies to everybody basically that's using Nav that wants to upgrade eventually.
Right. So along those lines, right, you go, oh my gosh, so what do I do? Well, if you still have the ability to upgrade to Business Central version 14, which is effectively the April 2019 release,
yeah,
because that version still has objects in it. So what you can do is you could upgrade to Business Central version 14, bring over your object changes into there, get on to Business Central and take advantage of a lot of those new features and functionality, and then migrate those custom objects or apps or add-ons into extensions over time.
So now if they choose to upgrade to version 14 of Business Central, will they have access to the Windows client?
With version 14, yes.
Okay, so it might make the transition a little bit easier because that mimics a little bit more of what traditional Nav looks like, right?
Exactly, right. So we believe customers should seriously consider moving to Business Central version 14 as soon as possible. And the reason is exactly because of that. You still have the Windows client available, you still have objects available, yet you also have the new modern development environment available, and you also have the web client, an app available. So you can start transitioning to all of those things over time.
It'll make it a little bit easier for you.
Absolutely, right? So that's definitely what, now new implementations, right? Of course, go to version 15.
Right, if you're starting fresh,
all
exactly.
Extensions, it's probably a good way to go. So we definitely would do that. But we know for existing customers, you may need to make that upgrade just to Business Central version 14.
Right. And version 13 will not be available, correct?
Correct. Version 13 really no longer available. We've even talked to a lot of add-on partners and apps. They're not maybe even supporting the version 13 apps anymore. So, if you if you have an opportunity, move to version 14.
And do you have any idea how long version 14 will be available for?
Microsoft's typical release support plan is 5 years of full support. I don't know specifically that's what they're saying, but according to other software, including Dynamics, SQL Server, Windows, whatever, 5 full years of support per major release.
Okay.
and then 5 additional years of limited support.
Okay. Now, they can purchase version 14 until October 2020?
Correct. So this is a little bit unusual. Usually, once a new release comes out, there's maybe a small period of time where it overlaps, and you can actually go purchase the old version.
Yeah.
In this case, October 2020
Yeah.
is the point where that's available. That's a year from now.
Yeah. So Microsoft understands that version 14 is probably the release that they want their previous nav customers to upgrade to, just to help with the transition.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And even if a new customer were to purchase today, they would purchase officially version 15, but then we would be able to provide them with a license key for version 14.
Oh,
So that version 14 could be implemented.
nice.
Yeah.
So I see that here that there is, for version 14, there's 2 cumulative updates available, May and in August.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different. Again, if you've been following on-premise nav or Business Central.
Usually it's monthly, right?
Right, monthly cumulative updates. So because it's 5 years of full support, we're used to seeing a grand total of 60 cumulative update files be released by Microsoft for each release. But for version 14, just 1 in May and 1 in August. So to me, what it looks like is they're moving to more of a quarterly cumulative update schedule for the on-premise product.
It's good and it's bad, I guess.
The reality is that most people do not apply monthly cumulative updates.
Yeah, just because of fear of the unknown.
Just that it takes effort usually to apply object changes, reinstall software versions on the server or users' workstations. The reality is it probably shouldn't impact too many people too much.
Well, that's good. So why don't you tell them a little bit about what's going on with Dynamics NAV subscription prices?
Yeah, so with NAV and running subscription for on-premise, there's been a price list available, and effective with this new release, if you're running an on-premise subscription, monthly subscription, those prices will now be the same as the Business Central pricing per user.
Okay.
So $70 for an Essentials user, $100 for a premium. Previously, those NAV users, I believe, were slightly lower.
65 maybe, something like that?
Yeah, they were a little lower price point, but they are aligning all of those, the on-premise subscription pricing with the Business Central cloud pricing at this point.
Makes sense, for sure.
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier for everyone. It also makes it similar no matter which product you're versioning, cloud or on-premise. It's the same software at the end of the day.
Right.
So same price.
Why make it? Yeah, exactly. And I see that we're going to be adding a Business Central Ready to Go link in our show notes. Business Central Ready to Go is basically everything you need to get started with implementing and deploying Business Central, either online or on-premise.
Exactly. It's a great reference to go to.
And to go along with that, I noticed that if you go to the Microsoft Learning training website for Business Central, they now have new content there to educate yourself, and I checked it out. There's about 65 different learning entries that you can access for free to learn about Business Central.
Great.
So we'll include a link with that as well. And got anything else over there?
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to point out, because we say, well, the on-premise and cloud is the same software, right? So we talk about that, and the reality is that there are differences between those.
Yeah.
So let me find my notes here.
And a lot of differences are probably, if I had to guess, with like the access to Power Apps, the access to Office 365, all things that are cloud-based they want to work with on-premise. There's got to be more to it than it just being completely integrated, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. So there are things like editing in Excel, for example. This is a feature that for on-premise, it's available, but it requires Azure Active Directory as your authentication method. Right. So that means some extra work, some extra steps need to be taken. And if you're not already On Azure, you at least need to be running Azure Active Directory.
Right.
This is, our IT group here helps customers with that.
Yeah. I wonder if that's like a sort of a backdoor built-in security feature to where it has to know that it's using your Excel environment as opposed to just whatever's on your computer.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, just they want strong security authentication methods, and so that's part of it. Things other similar to that edit in Excel is integration with Power BI, right? If you're on premise, you need to be running Azure Active Directory as your authentication method, and there's also additional setup that has to get going.
Yeah.
The Outlook add-in is the same thing. And then there are also features that are not intended really by Microsoft to be used in the on-premise solution.
So clear-cut differences then between on-premise and the cloud.
Yeah, so for example, like if you want to use Microsoft Flow in Business Central, the Flow templates that are provided by Microsoft are not designed to be run with the on-premise solution.
Wow.
Right. The external accountant license is not available with the on-premise solution.
That's pretty big too.
Yeah.
It's very popular in the online world. So it's just another user then for Business Central on-premise?
Yep, exactly. So 3 actually that are available with the cloud.
Correct.
So you can use 3 external licenses, maybe an outside
Right, like a
IT
systems administrator or something,
firm,
yeah.
maybe 2 accountants or something. You also, there are default Power BI reports that are embedded in Business Central. When you're on the cloud, these charts are automatically set up and integrated and available.
Yeah.
With on-premise, those are not deployed or actually supported by Microsoft within Business Central.
Yeah, so once you log in, they're not there.
Right. You can, of course, use Power BI and pull data.
But you got to build your own reports for it.
Right. You're creating your own data sets and queries and using Power BI with Business Central. It's just that those little standard fact box Power BI charts aren't deployed.
So I see, though, that one of the things listed is Sandbox Environments. Sandbox environment that you can use to develop extensions for the new developer experience cannot connect to an on-premise deployment. Have you had any experience with that?
Yeah, so this has to do with the new modern development environment and how that works.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit over,
Podcast.
Podcast notes. But basically,
More of a video
just
tutorial.
a limitation of using the new Visual Studio containers with a sandbox. And then, of course, there are some new machine learning or artificial intelligence features within Business Central Cloud, such as late payment prediction and cash flow forecasting, where Cortana Intelligence is used to analyze and break down the data. Those are not supported within the on-premise version.
That's huge.
So you actually could go out, and again, we can set up a link. There is a instructions out there. So you would have to set up your own machine learning account with Microsoft, and then basically build this set of sample code to your environment to do it. So it definitely you'd need a developer if you want to incorporate any of that business artificial intelligence.
That's pretty big. I mean, that's kind of the wave of the future, right? AI and everything.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah. So I think more and more you're going to see Microsoft putting more and more of that type of thing into the cloud solution.
Yeah.
Which is going to
just
make
because
it,
they can control it and make sure it works and whatnot.
Yeah. Those are. I think that about sums it up for the on-premise our on-premise listeners out here.
Yep.
But yeah, big news. All the other thing, I'm not sure if I think we missed this. So we got so distracted with the development environment. So the two most major changes with version 15 that's just coming out. One is no development environment, which we just beat to death. And 2 is no Windows client.
Yeah, it's gone.
So the user interface is now the web client, access running through any browser, or the app, which can be installed on any phone, any tablet, or Windows 10 device.
Right. So, all right, stay tuned for our next segment.